Hold on a sec. I want to change sweatshirts. Not because I don't like this sweatshirt. I love this sweatshirt, but I don't want to represent this company. When I'm saying this, because I have a two face. Anyways, no, it's I have respect for this company and I'm not like truthfully associated with it. So honestly, I'm taking my two face off by taking that hoodie off. But anyways, this is going to be a live all about the two face and why the two face is wrong. We're going to go over why the two face is wrong. We're also going to go over how to spot a two face, you know, tips and tricks to spotting a two face. We're going to go over we're going to go over how to rip a two face off. We're going to go over why people choose to do two faces. We're going to go over all this, okay? So, to start, we're going to go over why, because if we want to be understood, I think we need to lead by example and try to understand the bad people a little bit. So sometimes people get a two face for many reasons. It can be because of the circle that they're in. There may be a few people that they feel friction with, and if they were to be them true selves in that circle, then them and that person would have a lot more friction, and things would be more difficult. So for the sake of like keeping the peace and keeping the safety and everybody, like things like that, people choose to put on the what's called the two face, and they act different when a certain person is around. Another reason someone might put on the two face is because they know that what they think about that person is quite literally just mean and nasty. And so when they're around that person, they become very friendly. And that's only wrong. That only becomes inconsistent if you're just being friendly to this person. That's when it's a two face. Because if there's a lot of people you find annoying, but you treat everyone with kindness anyways, that's self control. If you think just this person's annoying and this is the only person that you treat differently, everyone else you think annoying is annoying, you just tell them that you think they're annoying. That is a two face. That's not just self control at that point. That's a two face. That's not defendable. That's two different faces. Two different versions of you, different people to fit two different people. So there's a lot of different reasons why people put on the two face. But we're gonna go over why two face is bad, why the two face is wrong. So if you get into a conversation with people and you're trying to make friends, right? Let's say your name is Alex, their name is Mike and Chelsea. So your name is Alex and you're talking to Mike and Chelsea. And you're like, yeah, you're talking to Mike and Chelsea, you're talking about what you're going to do this weekend. And then you walk away for a second to grab a water. And then Mike and Chelsea start talking. They're like, dude, that Alex guy, he's a fucking retard. And it's like, okay. Then you come back with your water, and Mike and Chelsea are like, hey, Alex, what's going on, buddy? You got that water? You ready? You ready to have fun this weekend? And it's like, that's the two fucking face, bro. They hate you, bro, and they're not saying it. And honestly, you're not the one in the wrong, Alex. Alex isn't the one in the wrong. Alex just went and grabbed a fucking water. He shouldn't feel bad about shit. Mike and Chelsea, they're fucking cowards, bro. Someone's got to call them out. I hope Mike calls Chelsea out or vice versa. But that's the two face, and that's why it's bad, bro. Because poor Alex, I mean, he didn't deserve that. He's just here for the ride, man. He was excited about the weekend, and yeah. So Nice guys could surely finish last. You know, if Alex decided to stay friends with these folks, nice guys could surely finish last. But that's why I want to teach you guys how to figure out and how to see the Two Face and how to see the cracks in the Two Face. Because once you see the cracks in the Two Face, the nice guys they stop finishing last. All of a sudden, they stop finishing last, bro. So make sure you see the fucking cracks. A big one is going to be like when the personality is just too good to be true. Like, and I caution going off of this red flag because it can be it can be tricky because it could be the second one too. They could also just be having self control and just being respectful of your feelings because that's what they do to everyone. They just treat everyone with kindness. So be careful when you go off of that red flag. But yeah, generally, if the personality, if they just seem too excited and happy to really be truthful, I would say uh, try and dig deeper into it. Ask a few questions. I would ask a question like what's making you so happy today, and then figure out their answer. I mean, generally people aren't happy like those people pretend to be unless like something really good and life changing just happened. But I mean, if they just like got like a small raise at their job, I mean, yeah, that's life changing, but it's gonna allow them to put a little bit more in their savings. And so I would see what they're excited about. I mean, generally, you're gonna know your situation way more than I will. So ask questions, get the deets. Um, at that point, I can no longer tell you what is a red flag and what isn't because you have to just know the person that you're speaking to better than I do and trust your own gut too. I wish I could say there's a one size fits all answer at that point, but two faces are sneaky. They're sneaky. Just don't get caught. Just don't get caught, bro. Don't get caught being around these two faces. And make sure you're also the same person towards everyone, you know? People are like, make sure you know your audience. And it's like, why am I changing who I am for a different audience? Like, if you don't fucking like me, don't listen to what I say, but I'm not going to change who I am for a different audience. That's dumb. You're nuts. I say to those people, because that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. You entertain that for a little bit, but then I came to my senses. I was like, wait, that's a two face. I was like, that's a two face. I'm falling for a trap here. I'm sure there's a lot of people who knew their audience, and I'm sure they're the king of the trailer park, bro. But I don't want to be that. And I was like, yeah, because you gotta decide someday. Here's the reason why you don't want to do the two face as well. For your own sake, someday you gotta decide who you're going to be. This is a serious discussion. Like someday you have to decide, like, okay, this is who I'm gonna be. I don't give a fuck what they do. I don't care what they do. This is what I think is right. So this is who I'm gonna be. And you don't change that for a different audience. Your audience changes. You're not like, oh shit, yeah, I'm someone different now. Like, no, no. Sorry about this quality, man. I wanna move real quick. I'm sure that's probably what's causing the viewership to go down here. Yeah, you gotta decide who the fuck you're gonna be in this life and figure out what you're gonna do, what goals you're going to accomplish in this world. You only have, average human lifespan is what, like 80 years? You have 80 years on this planet. Um, and in the core, like in the time when you zoom out on that universe timeline, you look at it. That's a fucking blip. That's a tiny little spot on the timeline. And somehow people make these crazy lasting impacts. And I gotta tell you, some people say, "Oh, they sold their souls." I gotta say, if if my soul was the cost to leave a lasting impact like that, I gotta say that's a pretty fucking cheap cost. But you know what? In all honesty, I got that from a fucking Tenacious D movie, and seriously, the Two Face is wrong. It's just wrong. I could sit here and explain why a thousand different ways. Figure out what you're gonna do. There's a reason why, I focus on what's within my control, and it's because I don't have Two Face. I could sit here, and focus on. I could try to get a fucking job. I couldn't be Ben the forklift driver and OT Nath, the musical artist, at the same time. At a certain point, I had to decide who I was gonna be as well, and I had to take my second face off as well. I'll do it. I'm gonna stay this. Can't fucking help it. I'm gonna stay this way because even if I try to go get a job, even if I try to go get a job and I try to conceal this side of me, it's gonna pop out anyways. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm not even gonna have a two face anymore. Whatever that comes with is whatever that comes with. Um, too much money. There's way too much money, time, effort that people put into building two different faces for two different audiences. And they end up doing some really dumb shit too. The people who go far in life, the people who go far in life, although we would like to think that they had some kind of goal figured out, the people who go far in life, although we'd like to think they had some kind of goal figured out, really what they had figured out is that we weren't supposed to have two different faces. That's the reason they became successful in life, because they didn't try to bet on both sides. When Bitcoin came out, they didn't try to bet on both sides. When Bitcoin came out, they didn't try to bet on both sides. They had one face. They either bet on Bitcoin or they fucking didn't. And you know what? They paid the price of each of those decisions. One person got rich and the other didn't. Guess what? It didn't care about the people who had two faces and bet on both sides, because they just paid to pretend they didn't have a choice to make to begin with. Okay? We need to start normalizing, um, when there's potential income to be made, we need to start normalizing that as a loss when we're not grabbing it. If there's potential income to be fucking made and we don't grab it, that's a loss. If we're guilty for doing something that we're supposed to do wrong, then we're sure as hell guilty of doing something or not doing something that we should be doing, is all I'm saying. So, normalize yeah, it's a loss when you don't get potential income. If there's a potential opportunity somewhere that you're not taking, yeah, that's your fault. Um, what else? The two face. When you take that two face off, it fixes many things. It allows you to actually, you're willing to take choices and take what's called healthy risks that are essential in playing a part in developing the way that society progresses. Choices that you make, whether it's, a vote that you put in at the fucking voting poll, whether it's, which fucking company you chose to go with to redo your porch, because each one has maybe a different ethical standard, or maybe a different material standard or something like that. So you're making all these choices and your money's going towards different people. You're financing different ideas and different principles. And in turn, yeah, that changes the way the world looks in 10 years. So you take the two face off and you stop betting on both sides. And all of a sudden, there's actually one clear side that's a winner and one clear side that's a loser. And then you actually fucking benefit because maybe you bet on the side that won, or you take a loss because you bet on the side that lost. But either way, you're not just taking a loss to pretend you didn't have a choice. I mean, if your choices are like take a loss to at least have a chance at making a win, or take a loss with no chance of having a win, I'm like, okay, the answer is pretty simple. Let me take the loss and have a chance at a win. Um, because that's what your guys' choices are these days. At the end of the day, like when you actually write down everything on paper and do the math on it, your guys' choices recently have been to pretend there's no choice and take a loss, or take a choice, make your choice, potentially lose, but also potentially win. So there's a loss either way, but at least on one, you have a chance at winning. Those have been your guys' options recently, and you guys are still looking at me and saying, I'd rather not choose. And I'm looking at you and saying, you're insane. I'm looking at you and saying, you're nuts. You're crazy. Because if I wrote this math out for you, you would not tell me. You would not tell me that you want to sit back and pretend there's no choice. You wouldn't want to do that. You would want to decide who the fuck you're going to be today, and you would be that. That's the two-face. And that truth, yeah, it has cost. It has cost, but there's cost for being untruthful too. At least you can win through being honest. At least you can win by having one face. But by betting on both sides of anything, pretending there's no choice, having two different faces, it's all the same thing. It all works the same as the casino. You're betting on red and black. You're just pretending there's no choice. Josh, I don't think you really get it, dude. I'm sorry. There's not really many people who understand this. And I'm not that's not disrespect to you, Josh. Two different faces. People need to take off two different faces because it's the same as betting half your chips on red and half your chips on black at the roulette table. It's the same thing. Having two different faces. Let's say you have friends. Let's say your name is Alex and you're talking to Mike and Chelsea and you're talking about what you guys are going to do fun this weekend. Alex, you walk away for a minute, you want to go grab a water bottle. Mike and Chelsea are still talking and they're talking shit about you. They got two faces. Well, then you walk back up. Okay, and here's what Mike and Chelsea just did. They said Alex is going to lose, but they also said Alex is a good friend. They said Alex is a bad friend, and they said he's a good friend. So when they're around you, they're pretending like you're a good friend. They're betting their chips on both sides of you. They're like, you're going to fail, but then they're also like, you're going to win. As soon as you go away, it's you're going to fail. But then as soon as you come back, you're going to win. That roulette ball is going to fall right in your fucking cup, bro. So you're going to win. I'm saying, bro, if the choice is to bet all your chips on black and lose, but at least you have a chance at winning, or you can bet half your chips on red and black, pretend there's no choice to make in the beginning, in the fucking first place, and then there's no chance of winning because you just bet the same amount on both. There's a loss either way. At least if you're willing to bet on the wrong side, all of your chips, and you're willing to be wrong, that's when you can actually win. If you're not willing to lose, there's no win. Sometimes the universe will test you like that too. It'll show you, like, okay, are you willing to lose? Are you at least willing to lose? And if you're not, like, you're gonna get the exact fucking result that you fucking seeped. You're gonna get this shit. It's not fucking rocket science. It's not rocket science. So this message is held for review. No, we don't do that. Oh, here we go. Well, yeah, it's about choosing who you're gonna be, Josh. It's about taking off two faces. It's about not having two faces and betting the extra chips, the extra time or effort. The chips are a metaphor. The chips are a metaphor for your time and your effort that you put into, being you. The sides, the red and black, is who you want to be with your life. Maybe you want to be Josh the forklift driver, but maybe you have dreams, Josh. Maybe you want to be Josh the inventor. And my point is, you got to figure out who you're going to be, bro. You got to pick one and you got to be that one, bro, regardless of what the fuck everybody else does. Because betting the extra chips, at least on being wrong, at least there's a chance at winning here, bro. But trying to shuffle both of these, dog, try it. I say try it. I have. I've tried it. I can speak from experience. But I digress. I'm not going to cry here. Do the right thing. Stay away from the two faces. Figure out who you're going to be with your life. And be that person regardless of how fucking hard it gets. Because if that's really you, then it's really you. And no one's going to be able to conceal that shit anyways.